Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I want to share with you guys some of the ways that ADHD and being autistic affected me at school. So as a lot of you know, I was undiagnosed. So this is based off of an undiagnosed ADHD with autism. So yeah, let's just get straight into today's video. But first, if you could smash me a big thumbs up down below and subscribe to my YouTube channel, I will forever be grateful. So let's get on to the video. So just like a lot of children with or without ADHD, with or without autism, school can be challenging for many different reasons. Personally, I found school really challenging for many different reasons, and we're going to get into some of them pretty soon. But I just want to share that you do not need to be autistic or have ADHD to struggle at school. And if you do have ADHD and you are autistic, that doesn't mean you are going to struggle at school, or that you don't have it if you don't struggle at school. Not everyone struggles at school. Like, how many times am I going to say school? Yeah, so I just wanted to clear that up before I jump straight into my difficulties at school. If you haven't been following me for long, you might not know that I was diagnosed later in life. I was diagnosed at 21 years old with ADHD and as autistic at 23 years old. So I went my entire school life, college life, just not knowing why I struggled so much in these particular things we're going to talk about. You know, I didn't know why I struggled so much at home, at school, in life in general, at work. You know, all these things really just made life hard for me. And because I didn't have the diagnosis or the knowledge of what, why or how, or you know, how I can help myself, why I was struggling, it was just even worse because I just felt broken. At school, I was known as the naughty kid, the troublemaker. You know, teachers didn't want me in their class, they didn't want me on their school trips, they didn't want me in their tutor group. Teachers just didn't want me around them because I was a troublemaker. I was the naughty kid. Every teacher seemed to have the same opinion of me, and it was almost like in the staff rooms at lunch and break times or after school, they must have discussed it because they all felt the same way about me, which was the hardest thing because I feel like no teacher ever gave me a clean slate. Like, nobody got to know the real Molly. It was almost like everybody was on like tenterhooks and had this kind of assumption, and like they just thought they knew me because obviously they've heard things about me. And I think that was the most difficult thing because I couldn't ever just be Molly. Like, I was always that naughty kid, or oh, I've heard things about you. And I've had that said a lot of times in my school career. I heard that a lot, like, oh, I was warned about you, so you can sit next to me. The gossiping was mostly from the teachers, honestly. The gossiping and the rumours and the Chinese whispers, honestly, I think that was just mainly the teachers because they seemed to just all have the same opinion of me, and most of them didn't even know me, didn't teach me, and they all had the same assumption and the same opinion of me. And yeah, if you're a teacher, please don't do that. Please don't. Give the child the chance to be who they are. Don't just listen to the Chinese whispers in the staff room. Give the child a chance. Like, honestly, don't tar them with the same brush that other teachers do, because you're never going to know the true person if you like treat them broken or like the naughty kid. You're never actually going to learn to know who that child is. My ADHD and my autism, obviously they weren't diagnosed throughout my school life, so I wasn't medicated. I didn't have any kind of accommodations set in place. I didn't have any kind of one-to-one support or like learning support. I had none of that. I had nothing. I had nothing set in place because I didn't have this diagnosis. The only it's not even an accommodation. The only thing I really ever had set in place was a report card, like a behavioural report card. I was a regular. Like, I had a membership to the detention club. Like, I was in detention all of the time. Lunchtime, break time detention, after school detention, you name it, I was in it. So yeah, I was in isolation, fixed term exclusion, part-time timetables. Is that part-time timetables? Is that right? Part-time timetables, report cards, deputy head report cards, head teacher behaviour report cards. I was excluded, I think I've said that. And then I was like a long-term exclusion, and then I was only allowed in certain days a week. And then ultimately I was put on a behaviour transfer to a pupil referral unit. And I mean, I'm going to do a separate video on that because that was just like a whole, you know, different thing. But yeah, I was excluded detentions. Like I say, all of that were only they were only like the interventions that I had, like the punishments. There was never any like actual help. They thought sending me out of the school and like excluding me and blah blah blah, that was more for them because they didn't want me in their school. They wanted like time away from me. And, yeah. So I'm going to get into some of the things that I really struggled with. I'm going to read from my behaviour report cards that I've got, so you can get a real look into the younger Molly's school life. When I went for my ADHD diagnosis, they asked and requested some school reports. I'm just going to read a few that have stuck out to me because many of them are repetitive, and this is the problem. A lot of them were repetitive and learnt behaviours, so a lot of them are just like going over the same thing but different teachers, different scenarios. So I'm going to read the ones that are very repetitive, so because obviously they were my main issues. So I'm going to read them first, and yeah, let's go. Just to explain quick, I don't know how any other schools reported behaviour incidences, but at my school there was like level 1 was just like a small incident, so like the less out of them all, so like the less severe, and then level 8 was like permanently excluded, so that was like the most severe. The first ones are no planner, not having the right equipment for lesson, like that goes on. There's about 12 of them from the 16th of February to the 1st of April. There's literally so many of them incidences. Forgetting uniform, forgetting trainers, not having the right uniform, blazer, forgetting pencil case. So yeah, I didn't ever really remember to bring in my homework and stuff like that. They were like just really small things compared to what's to come, basically. Yeah. So this next one I think personally shows how impulsive I am. And it is Molly stamped on a yoghurt pot during break time, resulting in another student's trousers becoming very dirty and sticky. I did not see the incident as I was on duty elsewhere, but there were student witnesses who said it was Molly. I am not one of these people that would go around to hurt people intentionally or upset them. I'm just very impulsive, and I say things and do things without thinking about the consequences, and obviously that was one of the times that happened. I did things without thinking through the consequences, and now I'm looking back, it's very much I just did things on impulse and didn't think about like who I was going to affect, who it was going to upset, like the consequences of me and my actions. So yeah, that's one of them. Molly struggled to concentrate all lesson and took every opportunity to distract other people in the lesson. Lunchtime detention set. So again, that's another huge thing. I really struggled to concentrate. Like all these things shout ADHD to me, but like going through the report, like I just don't know why it was never picked up at school. Like I don't know. Molly continued to talk over me, disruptive. I get so frustrated by Molly as she is a really nice girl and she has never been nasty. I hope she responds well on report card. Some of the problems today was continue to call out when I had worked so hard to control the engaged group. Her points were valid, but she really needs to understand to put her hand up and wait until the teacher has finished talking. She can also get involved in silly little disruptive behaviours that need to stop. So the next one is not a surprise at all. I bet you can guess what it is. Continuously talked throughout lesson, talking over peers and teacher, very little work, rarely on task, extremely rude and blunt when talking to me. Decided to talk over me many times, warnings given with no effect, then decided it was okay to drink in a science lab. Molly is well aware that drinking in a science lab is not okay. I have to stop her every lesson from doing this. Poor attitude in my lesson. Molly had a quick meeting with her mentor, returned with very half-hearted apology and admitted that she couldn't see what she had done wrong. This was then explained to her again. I like Molly, but she has changed from last year. So why was it not like picked up? Like why was that not intervented? Molly spent half the lesson refusing to engage in the work. In this period, she consistently failed to stop looking at inappropriate websites when asked, refused to move seats and spoke rudely to staff when challenged. They say inappropriate websites. It was like cool maths. Like the games that you play in maths, like cool maths. Like how is that inappropriate? So we're getting on to like maybe the end of year 9 now. So a lot of them are like level 2, like silly little incidences that I probably could have refrained from doing, and the teachers probably could have helped intervene and like stop this from like occurring to even a report. But they're just like silly little like level 1 incidences, like bringing in fizzy drinks and energy drinks into school, into my class. I don't know whether it was a sensory seeking thing, but I just liked fizzy drinks. They were never energy drink, like Mountain Dew. Like, I mean, I know it's classed as an energy drink, but like it really wasn't. It was just a fizzy drink that I like. I don't need any more energy, and I think that's probably why the teachers were like, right, this girl does not need to be drinking energy drinks. Like, she does not need that. Extremely disruptive the whole lesson, minimal work, constantly talking over teachers and peers, rude to staff when challenged, keeps throwing bits of glue around the classroom. Caught eating twice in registration lesson, 30-minute detention set. The next one, bringing in fizzy drinks from home into school, blah, 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 blah. So the next one, like, they were getting like more and more severe. So that this one was persistent level 3, breaches, same lessons. Then it says like, continue to talk over me time and time again, warned time and time again, sent to another room to work. I'm concerned that Molly cannot see her actions and why she is getting sent out. She will continue to defend herself in quite a calm way when being spoken to. I'm very quickly running out of ideas to keep her attention in class. I taught Molly last year and she was great. Something has changed and she is nothing like she used to be. Now that is the second time someone had commented that and like spoke about that. So why again was that not picked up? Yeah. Oh well, let's move on to the next one. Molly told another pupil to... Okay, we'll bleep that out, but you know what I mean, F off. Level 3, throwing objects around the classroom. Molly repeatedly threw lumps of prick stick glue around the class, causing damage to the classroom and to another pupil's blazer. Like, okay, that's totally not acceptable, but again, like, why was I not stopped firsthand? Like, why was nothing... Why did it have to escalate into me damaging someone else's uniform? And of course I was punished for that, and you know, parents had to pay, blah 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 blah. You know, that was settled and moved on. Molly is incapable at present of acknowledging why she is a persistently disruptive student. She is unable to understand that every comment she makes in my lesson is torment to disruption. This happens persistently and she eventually gets told off or removed to another class. This cannot go on and I will not have her in my class. She will be placed in inclusion next lesson. Like, to me that just shouts like something is wrong here. Something is not right. Why is behaviour, why is it just continuing? Why is someone not done something and stopped it? Like, why was there no intervention and it was just allowed to carry on, carry on, carry on, carry on? So eating sweets and gum, referral to follow instructions to remove gum. Sweets were taken. Molly was sent out to reflect on her defiance, and for 5 minutes she was then kept behind at the end of the lesson into break to revisit expectations and my rules of my classroom. Molly was late to my lesson by 3 minutes. Oh mate, 3 minutes. I'm 4 hours late now. I'm not like 3 minutes. Crikey, now that 3 minutes would be early for me. Molly was on iPod in registration, asked her to put it away. She ignored me, so I asked her to hand it over. She refused to hand it over. Eventually she gave it into CC, which was my, as I was getting older, my mentors kind of escalated up to the higher teachers. So CC was like, if you've read my book, the 2 characters in there were my main 2 behaviour mentors, and CC, Mrs. like C, was definitely the harder one out of the 2. She was definitely a hard one, and I found her a very hard match. She didn't like let me get away with things. Like, she definitely, like, yeah, she set boundaries and expectations, and I was very intimidated by her. But obviously I gave it my all to try and push those boundaries. But she was always like a rebound. She always came back, and there was never like a Molly's won this one. I never felt like I kind of got one over her. Like, there was always like, no, there's no chance, I might as well just give in now. Caught Molly drinking fizzy drinks on 2 separate occasions this morning, removed both cans. Checked phone during video clip, report card confiscated due to being covered in offensive language. Okay, that probably sounds like me, just doodling. Yeah, okay. Tried to enter the room eating, continued to eat during my lesson, even when asked not to. Food was removed and Molly told me to chuck it in the bin, I don't want it anymore anyway. That kind of does sound like me. I shouldn't laugh, it's not funny. Right, food binned, but Molly continued to moan about her food being taken away and disrupted the entire lesson. Refused to remove headphones after being told 3 times, first by LM and VLM. Refused to stop talking and was moaning that she didn't like LM and wasn't going to do anything she said. LM carried on introducing the controlled assessment, and the disruption from Molly continued until it was unfair on the other students. Molly promised to not put her headphones in again and do her work. I don't even know who LM is actually. The next one, then let me just intervene quick. The next one I've just read on because I wanted to make sure that I was not repeating myself. But the next one, I still struggle with this today, and I think I can put this down to my autism, to my undiagnosed autism here, because yeah, let's just get on and I think you'll understand. Right. Molly refused to participate with any aspect of the lesson. She tried to go back into the changing rooms to get her phone, came into the lesson saying, I'm not doing it, I don't like circuits, then refused to put her hair up, participate in any situation. Molly then distracted a number of students trying to flick elastic bands. Molly wouldn't let me sign a report card as she knew it would have said A5, P5. Right, school. Right, PE was a huge issue. Me and the PE teacher got on really well in the first couple of years, but as I started to, you know, grow up into a woman, my body changed and I became very self-conscious. I became very sensory needs to sweating, and I was very conscious of the like, basically I really struggled, and I wasn't this like athletic child, so my PE teacher had no interest in me, and it was almost like I was a bother to her because I didn't want to do circuits. But if she had just like taken the time to learn and to get to know me, she would probably know that I was very self-conscious, so she could have maybe have helped me overcome my self-conscious and my body dysmorphia. But you know, no, they didn't care because I was just annoying.